Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann, and I show men and women how they can live healthy, happy, sustainable lives by changing their habits and using healthy, cutting-edge products that help them to age well. And I'm absolutely delighted because today I'm joined by Joe Reed. I've already spoken to Joe a number of times, and he's just such a wealth of information around. He's actually a movement therapist and a health coach, and he's going to talk today about circadian habits for better sleep and health. So I'm just going to hand straight over to you, Joe.
Thanks, Julie. Great to see you again, by the way. I appreciate you having me on here to talk about circadian rhythm and why it is so important for sleep and for health overall. Our modern lifestyle has introduced a lot of screen time, as you and I are meeting right now, our phones, our tablets, and then also the lighting that we live underneath, especially after the sun goes down. And I had suffered through fibromyalgia for several years, and it wasn't until I focused on my circadian rhythm and getting it in tune with the earth, and that is when I first started to really feel better. And it's been a little over 5 years now that I've been symptom-free after 36 physicians said I would be with this condition for the rest of my life. And again, the biggest concentration that made me feel better was circadian rhythm. So what is circadian rhythm? Well, it is our wake cycle. It is light and day, and we are human beings. We are not nocturnal. We are diurnal. We're supposed to be awake during when the sun is up, and we're supposed to be asleep when the sun is down. So light is the biggest thing that entrains our circadian rhythm. So one of the things that I did and have been doing for the past several years to help entrain my circadian rhythm is I get up early and I actually watch the sunrise every single day. Now, there are times when I have a client around that time, or it might be that, I have to do some things at home. I do not have any light in my eyes that isn't the sun, unless I'm wearing specific glasses. I don't have them here, but they're red lens glasses, and they keep specific colors out of my eyes until I'm ready to see them. So I get up really early before the sunrise, sometimes a couple hours before the sunrise. So I will only have those red glasses on until I can see the sun. So I want to be around sunrise because that light has a big spike in blue. You think about the colors of the rainbow, that's our visible light. That blue light is like a shot of espresso. It will wake you up about as good as anything. I've worked with a client before, and he and his wife used to do Bible study. While he was getting his sunrise, his wife would come in, and after a couple of weeks, she said, I don't feel like I need my morning tea anymore. It's really strange. And we had a conversation. I said, it's actually not strange at all. You are getting some light frequencies that are basically telling your biology it's time to awaken, be awake, be ready for the rest of the day. And then, Julie, you and I are old enough to remember when people used to have cigarette breaks throughout the day. Well, what I encourage to help your circadian rhythm even further is to take sun breaks throughout the day, kind of like how people used to take cigarette breaks. So instead of going out and, puffing on one and being unhealthy, let's do the opposite, go outside and get sun throughout the day in minimal doses. Because as the sun goes throughout the day, the color of it changes, the intensity of it changes, and all of those different times tell your biology different things. It will help your hormones as well. I'm somebody who had really bad hormonal panel about 6 years ago. And part of that was because I was never out in the sun. I was always indoors. So if you're going outside in the middle of the morning, you can build specific things throughout your biology. Namely, you can build up serotonin, which leads to dopamine, which means you're going to feel better. You might have less anxiety. You might have less depression. Think about if you're somebody who's indoors all the time and you might suffer from anxiety, depression, there may be some type of correlation because you never go outside. There are great things that happen when we're out in the sun. There's been over 100 studies over the last 100 years that all say, if we're out in the sun reduces all-cause mortality. So think about that for a second. So I'm not saying go outside, be outside all day long and get burned during the middle of the day, especially in the summer right now. However, in incremental doses, it can improve your sleep. Because if you're getting up early and you're seeing the sun, that's going to spike your being awake in that time in the early in the day. Then at the end of the day, when the sun goes down, it'll be time to rest and digest. But you get morning sun to build up some specific things that are really beneficial, like I said, serotonin, some others. Then Midday sun to help build vitamin D, but do it safely. If you're, a little on the pasty side, it's okay to go outside for 5 to 10 minutes. But if you're going to be outside, cover your skin. I'm not a big fan of sunscreen, but covering your skin with a hat, covering your skin with long sleeves, that is always appropriate. As you know, Julie, my wife, loves to fish. She is currently fishing right now. She is covering her skin, not without sunscreen. And then middle of the afternoon, the sun's starting to calm down a little bit. That will also tell your biology it's starting to calm down. And then at the end of the day, watch the sunset as well. If you watch the sunset and you reduce the amount of artificial light you have in your home after dark, you will sleep earlier. You will sleep better. Now, here's the other part of this too. Like I said, light entrains our circadian rhythm. So in our modern society, our modern lifestyle, we have a lot of screen time. And within our screens, some people have heard about the blue light or blue light blocking glasses. Well, it's not that the blue light is a problem. I just told you how important blue light was at the beginning of the day. But it's the fact that our screens are not offset with red. In nature, red and blue are just about equal. And the color of our screens basically tell our brains that it is midday sun. So we have to reduce our screen time as well, specifically after the sun goes down. Now, there are things you can do. If you have an iPhone, you can do a shift to a red screen. There are apps out there like Twilight, where you can have your phone actually go to a darker screen that's more red. Most phones have that built in now, that after the sun goes down, it's more of a red tint, and that reduces in its brightness too. That's because these phone manufacturers also recognize that people are very much awake these days and having a lot more sleep problems. And a big problem with that, a big source of that, is their screen time after the sun goes down. So one of the things that I'm a big proponent of are blue light blocking glasses with red lenses or amber lenses after the sun goes down. So if you do have screen time, that is going to reduce the intensity of the light, and it's going to offset any of the blue as well, which is going to help you sleep better because you've got more sun throughout the day. And one of the things you did in the early morning, in the mid-morning, is you built some melatonin. Well, melatonin is the sleep hormone, as we all know. It has some other really important functions that it does. Now, with the sleep hormone, if you see artificial light after the sun goes down, especially your screens, you will have a reduction in your melatonin by 80%, like that. And this is all proven, scientific journals, endless, I've read a ton of data on this. So I was an insomniac for 15 years. And now with hindsight, I can look back and say, oh, now I know why I was not sleeping well. One of those things, I worked 2 jobs at that time under fluorescent lighting. And then I'd go home and I'd sit in front of my computer screen and I couldn't sleep. And now I don't do those things. Those red lenses, after the sun goes down, they help me to calm down. They preserve my melatonin because I'm not getting bad artificial light. It's huge in blue through my eyes. And I also dress like a ninja. Come to my home after sunlight and after the sun goes down. My house is completely red. I only have red bulbs in my home. And then if I have TV on or something, I have a red film over my TV, and I have usually a hoodie on, long sleeves, I have pants on. And if I have to go outside at all, I'm definitely dressed like a ninja because I want to cover my skin, because my skin, just like my eyes, are light receptors. And getting light on my skin will tell my brain a different time of day than what my eyes are seeing. So if I have red lenses on, they're telling my biology it's time to calm down, but I go outside and there's LED lights and fluorescent lights that are really bright and they have this huge spike in the blue. My skin sees that. That might actually keep me awake, and it will also diminish your melatonin that you have. So circadian rhythm is a huge part of what I do on a daily basis. And food is also part of the circadian rhythm, and that you should only be eating when the sun is up. And if you really want to tap into your circadian rhythm, you want to be a little bit healthier, which we're starting to see more data and see more physicians and researchers talk about circadian health. If you really want to take this into account, you want to take this to the next level, you also got to take into consideration your food intake. Eat when the sun is up, only eat your smallest meal at the very end of the day. When I really am just focused on this, I will eat my last meal, which is my smallest, 2 or 3 hours before the sun goes down. Because after the sun goes down, you should be resting and digesting. You should be calm. Your body shouldn't have to use energy to process all of your food that you just ate. You can gain weight very easily if you eat after the sun goes down, but if you eat the same meals within a range of when the sun is up, you'll probably lose weight. And there's a lot of studies on this too. So circadian rhythm is not just about sleep, it's about health. And I am living proof, because as somebody who has lived with fibromyalgia for well over a decade, and 36 physicians said I'd live with it for the rest of my life. I have tried all of the diets, all of the dietary nutritional protocols, anti-inflammatory this, the anti-inflammatory that. I've tried all of the supplements. I've tried all the exercise. It's what I do for a living. It wasn't one thing that really took me to a point where I felt that I was feeling great on a daily basis until I took my circadian rhythm into consideration. I overcame 15 years of insomnia without a single drug or supplements. After one of my physicians told me, Joe, you just need to be studied. You're not a normal human being. After I've taken every single pharmaceutical drug and stayed up on all of them. I'm now 5 years symptom free from fibromyalgia, which again, every physician said I'd have it forever. And it wasn't until I focused on circadian rhythm and implemented these things into my life. They're easy. And the best thing about it, Julie, is they're free.
Oh my
It's that
goodness.
simple.
Joe, that is just, I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. And like you say, once you get your head around it, it does sound simple. And let me tell you, everyone, if you haven't checked out Joe's story, he's got an extraordinary story of how it was before he really started to implement some of this stuff. And what he's been through, and this transformation really that's appears right in front of you. So thank you. I was just thinking, Joe, when you talked about the fact that you eat a few hours before the sun goes down, yeah. So probably you're in a state of ketosis by the time you get up, aren't you? Because you're going longer than 12 hours. You're doing that fasting. So actually, and that's proven to really be beneficial for the body.
Yeah, especially in wintertime. It gets dark around 5 p.m. here, and I'm usually done eating by 2-3 p.m. at the very latest, and I'm not eating until maybe 6 a.m. the next day, maybe even a little bit later. So it's quite a long fast, and there are some definite benefits, as you're saying, when you can get into ketosis, especially you can feel pretty good.
Amazing, Joe. Thank you so very much. So I know that those people watching, you'll want to be checking out Joe. You want to be checking out his information, finding out what he does. He's helped so many people, and what he does really is quite unique. And because he's been through the journey himself, he is walking and talking it. So check him out. His links will be below, as will mine. So reach out to him, ask him a question, and I know he'll be only too glad to help. So Joe, thank you so much for that fascinating information. And thank you everyone else so much for tuning in.
Thanks, Julie.